What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Team Building Podcast. It's Matt Johnson. I am parachuting in, and I'm special guest hosting this episode. I love it because guess who's here? The man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Cohn himself, which I know he loves that intro. And if there was an audience here, they'd be cheering and hollering and all that fun stuff.
Let's go, Dana.
There we go. No, we had it for a second. All right. So this is going to be a very different episode. This is something that you've never heard before on this podcast. What I'm going to do is so Jeff and I are both deep thinkers about our respective businesses. Jeff was sharing a little bit how he has had to kind of build some time into the morning while we were chit-chatting before we hit record. And I just mentioned that I've got this calendar appointment saved on my calendar for Saturdays, and it has 15 what I would call exponential questions or powerful questions, whatever you want to call them. These are questions that I have saved on my calendar. So anytime I have time and space to think about the business, and I just want to force my mind to work in different ways, these are the questions that I have saved. And I'm just going to pitch them to Jeff, right? And Jeff, I want relatively short answers. We don't have time to go too in depth because
I might pass on a few of them.
You might pass
literally,
on a few of them. Exactly.
We just chatted for a couple minutes before this, and we always have a topic that naturally fits. And I said, let's do something about getting ready for next year. And Matt said, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I have no idea what these questions are.
Yep.
The thing I'm going to find fascinating with the questions is I'm going to honestly tell the audience if I've ever thought about it before. And if I have thought about it, if we have a plan of how to implement or act on whatever the questions are. And I have no idea, but the idea is that these are more rhetorical for the listeners. So everybody listening can start, hit pause and think for yourself. Do you have an answer? Just like I'm going to sit here and try to come up with an answer. And hopefully it better positions us to do a better job in our businesses and our growth in 2022.
That's right. And what's funny about both of us is that we both have the ability to say something completely pulled out of thin air that we've never thought about before and make it sound good. So I'm glad that you're going to give people an idea of whether you've actually thought about this before or whether you're just pulling it out of.
I'm actually very nervous. And if I don't like how this turns out, we are not going live with this. How's that for authenticity? Delete, Dana, cut.
All right. You ready to jump in?
Let's go.
All right. Number one, if I had unlimited money, what would I invest in to get better results?
Crypto.
All right. I'm going down that path. I'm with you. Anything else?
So I've just learned a lot the last 2 weeks. I've spent too much time probably in better understanding it and feeling more comfortable getting into it. And I've waited a long time. I've heard a lot about it and I'm thinking this is the time. So here I go on record. I think crypto is the thing. Now, obviously the easy answer that I would have always given as like my backup would have been real estate. I've done a great job at getting my greatest returns on real estate. The hardest thing though with that is finding the project. So then you need people. And so I think the best answer is investing in people and on people and spending your time finding people. And you do that by associating with people. So putting your time and money into events, into reading, into masterminds, into associating with higher echelon of human beings to help better yourself and move the needle.
Love it. All right. I'm going to change the phrasing on these because I have them all set to I. I'm going to change it to you. So we're talking to you, Jeff. So Jeff, if you had unlimited time, what would you do to get better results? What would you do with unlimited time?
It's funny you ask it and we were just talking about it and it's mind space and it sounds so silly, but we have so many distractions. We as human beings have created as many distractions as possible. The most distractions in history. Your phone can even track how many times you pick it up a day. So if anyone wants to see how distracted they are, just look at your phone and it'll tell you how many times did you open your phone every single day. And everything becomes a distraction. So creating space where distractions aren't allowed. I found that in the morning. I call it my meditation time. I do it usually in my hot tub. I can spend 30 minutes to an hour in the hot tub, put my phone away. Everything's away. There's no distractions. Close my eyes and just think or meditate and process things. And if you're like me, you get home and you have distractions. So you don't get to process and then you're too tired to process. And you go through life just constant defense without ever having the opportunity to really process things. So if I had infinite time, I'd love to spend more time in my mind thinking about things. I have a lot of fun with myself. I love how my brain works.
Can we just make that the quote of the show? I have a lot of fun with myself.
You know what? That's a t-shirt idea. Yeah. I literally have a notes tab on my phone. I get made fun of too much because I have several very interesting notes tabs. I have a notes tab for t-shirt ideas. I have a jokes note section as well. You should hear those.
All right. Jeff's going to be a t-shirt entrepreneur. Next thing you know. All right. You ready for the next one?
Want to hear mine? One of my t-shirt ideas. So I'm not lying. Drive fast, take chances. Because
Oh,
like the sentence drive safe, be slow, or drive safe. What is it? Be safe, drive slow.
okay.
Or drive slow, be safe. Like it's like a normal sentence you'd say, like your kids go out the door. I'm like, drive fast, take chances. All right. So what was my idea? I like being with myself.
I enjoy, I enjoy
What is it?
being with myself. Oh my
Perfect.
God. Okay. Here we go. Question number 3. And this is a little bit more on the marketing tactical side. You can bring it down to your real estate team, or you can bring it to recruiting, which whatever springs to mind. If you could do anything you wanted with email and video, what would you do to get better results in your marketing?
Anything I wanted with email and video. I think we needed to send something more often across all the businesses I own. We don't send out enough content. And I'd say the content we do send, we'd need to make it more fun. I like making sure that the content is visual for the visual people, is copy rich for people that like to look and read, and that there's an audio option for those that just want to listen. So when we do send something, there's usually a video with subtitles for those that don't want to have to hear it, like if you're at work, and then a nice strong article. So I wish I need to, or I will put more intention behind copywriters across all businesses, videographers that can create more exciting visual experiences, and then being more intentional and being more consistent with putting out information. The big challenge becomes mediums and businesses. So we have a lot of different people wanting to consume different content across every business entity. Mm-hmm. And so you have to have somebody who's like a director of marketing. Obviously, every business would have that role, who's intentional about putting together a strategic plan for each business.
That is true. All right. Next question. What is the most extreme thing you could do today to push one of your businesses forward? And I mean extreme, like Steve Sims, make shit happen extreme.
So it's funny. I've just met with one of the CEOs of one of my businesses this morning, and I referenced the book Ender's Game, which I never read. I think they read it in 5th grade advanced reading. Mm-hmm. I was in the 5th grade kindergarten level reading class. So I watched the movie 20 years later. And at the end of Ender's Game, and I'm going to ruin it for anyone that hasn't watched it, there's a part where this young gentleman who's a genius has to fight like the alien horde, and he thinks he's in a simulator. And so he chooses to sacrifice the airplanes that are like full of families so that they can shoot the laser or whatever it is, a missile down to the alien horde and kill them. But a bunch of families and people die because he had to sacrifice them. And I likened it to exactly the question you just asked. If we were in a sim and there weren't real people involved, what type of sacrifices would we make in our businesses to be able to hit our final goal, whatever that killing the queen horde of alien, whatever that is. So I don't have an answer right now. I'm going to take the big pass, but it is something that's been on my mind. I'm scared that the answer is sell pieces or sell all of it. And I don't want to do that yet. So I'm curious. I have to think about this more, and I'm going to spend some time over the next couple of weeks. I have a lot of time to spend thinking, and it is something that's been top of mind. It's a good question.
Okay. All right. If you hired someone, and I mean, you paid through the nose, you paid someone, let's say in your position to replace yourself, you paid them $1 million a year plus a huge chunk of the upside. And it's exactly the right kind of person. You know, maybe you pull somebody in from venture capital or a hedge fund guy, and they've got an MBA, like they're qualified out the nose. They've grown 7 different companies to multi-millions. They're the exact right person. They have all the things that you feel like you don't have. What would they come into your business and do differently?
That's a scary one to answer publicly.
Yeah. So you have to remove yourself, and you are now chairman of Jeff Cohn Enterprises.
I have people listening to these answers. It's always a talent conversation. So leveling up talent in every business. And we've constantly talked about that. What do you call it? Top grading your C-level positions. Every level then goes up. So I've continued to work on myself, but I don't know that I can get better as fast as I could just go find somebody that might be able to do a better job. I think the answer is going to be level up talent. And I would prefer doing that with the people I already have in positions, helping them grow, but there are people that simply won't. And so if that's you listening, you better step up. I think that's the biggest challenge, is getting people to be as intentional as we may choose to become better versions of ourselves so that we can grow.
All right. I'll step back with one easier one, and then I'm going to hit you with a harder one to close things out.
Sounds good.
What was the last experiment you ran? What was the last thing you tested?
Well, we're constantly running. So do you want something that's proven, or it's like just started?
Just started. Let's go with that.
Okay. So we have just recently brought on a very successful team who's going to serve as, I don't want to say call it a beta test. It'll be kind of the team that we will use as a lab coat team, kind of like what Keller Williams Real Estate International has, where they have teams inside their KWRI location. They have the lab coat agent, so they can test different things out with a specific team. So Omaha's Elite Real Estate Group, which was our flagship team, retired its jersey in 2019, and all of the agents assimilated into the brokerage. But since then, I haven't had a team where I could test things out. And we really want to have a team, not just the brokerage, but a specific team that we can watch. And, just like a typical science experiment, you can have a lens on them and make sure each and every step of whatever the experiment is that you're trying. And so we've created that just in the last 2 weeks. So we have a very successful team that has a lot of respect in our community, who has chosen to partner with us to serve as that lab coat team, in which we can test different things out with.
Yeah, I love it. The further you get along in business, sometimes the further removed you get from the front lines, and you lose the ability to experiment and find out the things that are actually working. You've got to have some connection to the front lines. Always. Love it.
100%.
All right. Let's briefly talk about the team building event that's coming up in January in Long Beach, and then I'll hit you with the last question.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. So it's been our strategy through COVID, and we have done an amazing job. We've gotten great feedback with the way we have now been offering workshops. So how we've chosen to do it is we host 3 team building workshops a year in Omaha, Nebraska. We host 3 team building workshops a year virtually that are hosted from Omaha, Nebraska. So essentially 1 month we have one in person, 1 month is a break, 1 month is virtual, 1 month's a break, 1 month's in person. In addition to that, we do the yearly team building summit. And now we're going to start offering regional workshops. We've done one in Miami, Florida. It's been 2 years ago, and then COVID hit. We're having another one in January in Long Beach, California. Super excited. We have an amazing venue picked out. We have amazing speakers. Matt Johnson may or may not be one of our surprise VIP speakers. There's a little teaser, but we should expect about 30 to 50 people. The prices are ridiculous. We don't make money on events. Just if anyone doesn't know that, I think there may be 2 or 3 coaches in the country across all practices that actually make great money at events. That's not our goal. Our goal is to bring people together and then make money off coaching. And so the events are total zero base, value add. It's an all-day event focused on team building, both residential real estate, and then we'll have a speaker on investing. We'll have a few thought leaders and surprise keynotes. We'll have a happy hour the night before. We'll have a special event the night of. If you would like more information about that, or you'd like to get any of the other free content that we give away or learn more about the podcast or anything else, go to growwithers.com.
Love it.
I don't know if we have time for the last question. I think that's a wrap.
You're going to answer
ladies
this,
and gentlemen.
Nope. You're all right. Let me hit you with it. What
Pass.
prevents you? Pass. Hard pass. What prevents you from making the changes will make you a more effective leader? So what prevents you from making the changes will make you a more effective leader?
Spending too much time on this podcast.
Not allowed. Sorry. We don't record anywhere near enough for that to be an excuse.
Oh my goodness.
You and I used to record together every week.
We did. It was fun. I'll answer it. Give me some time though. That's like deep.
I know it's deep.
Ask it one more time.
What prevents you from making the changes that would make you a more effective leader? You've talked a lot about talent.
Mm-hmm.
So is it finding talent? Is it putting the time into having more one-on-one conversations with people that would make you a more effective leader? Or is it dealing with the people that you already have and changing something in your values, your level of communication?
I think I know the answer.
Okay.
So I hired a coaching organization in 2011. I don't talk about this very often because I don't want people to ask who it was. So don't ask who it was.
Yeah.
But it's a very well-known coaching organization. And the day we signed up, they ordered us each, we had to add 10 or 12 agents at the time, 10 or 12. And they ordered us each a binder. So right out of the gate, I was like, wrong company to partner with. This is in 2011. We got binders, like what I used to have in high school. I didn't have binders in college. And I'm like, why do I have a paper binder? Why isn't it all virtual? So needless to say, I've had a hard time with authority. I'm a pretty rebellious personality. And so I think I've always known I needed to hire a coach. I needed to hire probably a counselor, a life coach in every area of my life. I needed probably to hire a consulting company. And I've never done that. I've chosen to read a lot of books and mastermind with a lot of people. And Matt and I have obviously done a lot of this together as well. And I have yet to actually hire this Ivy League person, pretend persona that we talked about.
Yep.
That's probably it. It's probably being willing to let someone come in and look at everything we've built and say, okay, good job. But if you were to do ABC, you'd be this much further along. I've not chosen to do that yet.
I like it. I deem your
That's hard for
offering
me.
worthy.
It was a scary answer.
That is a scary answer.
There were a lot of other
I completely
answers.
agree, because I'm a terrible coaching client, but I did submit myself to that. We worked together for a little over a year, and then it outgrew it. It outgrew it to the point where I was contributing as much as he was. And now we're better off as friends. And I'm back to being mentored by the books I read, the podcasts I listen to, and the people I hang around.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Where have I heard that before?
I dreamt that one.
Interesting. Yeah. So funny how it comes around like that. All right, Jeff, anything else you want to point out before we bail for the day?
No, I just think those are really good questions, harder than I expected. And I think people don't like to deal with hard questions. I think it's scary to have to deal with those. And that was always all business specific. But of course, there's other areas of our lives that I think keep us and limit us from achieving at a high level. Everything needs to be in sync, not with an equal amount of time, but with an equal amount of energy. And so as we get into 2022, to be a little bit motivational here as we wrap it up, I would really like to see people dare to look at themselves and ask themselves, why is your business struggling? Why didn't you get the results you wanted this year? Look at the people inside your organization and ask them, why didn't you look at yourself? What's the limiting belief? What's the thing that kept you from doing the activities that you had talked to them about? And be willing to push people a little bit like Matt was willing to push me today. True leaders serve their followers by empowering them to become just like them. So dare to help not only yourself, but then those that are in your world. It could be your kids, your significant others, the people you care about, and then the people you lead. And I'd like to end with that.
All right. All right, everybody, go leave a review for the podcast. If you've enjoyed it, give us a shout out in the ratings and the reviews. Make sure to leave a 5-star rating. It helps the show. It feeds the algorithm. It helps put the show in front of more agents. And also just share the episode. If you got something out of it, share it with somebody in your office, somebody on your team, whatever the case may be. Basically, every time you share the show with someone, you're potentially changing their life and giving them the ability to build a business that they all dream about. So with that being said, Jeff, I love it. It was fantastic. Your offerings were fantastic, very worthy. Your sacrificial lambs of a question.